Hi, welcome to my webinar. This is Lita Gisela. I'm a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist based out of Santa Cruz, California. And I wanted to do a webinar today on supplementation and why you need it. I'm super excited that you've joined me. Now, because of our wide range variety of knowledge today. Some of this might be pretty basic. Some of this might be over your head. I hope to cover exactly what you're looking for today. I know that we all want to feel better. We want to feel better energy. We don't want to dip in the afternoon. We want to wake up ready for the day. I know that having clear memory and being able to be present and have deep, intimate connections with other people is super important. And how we fuel this human body for optimum performance is through food. And unfortunately, we can't get it just from food, regardless of what we're eating. We do need to supplement at this point. It is the year 2017, and I'll go over the reasons why. I want to spend some time on how the aging process actually works in our bodies and how that these things, decline, injury, illness, can actually be preventable. So we're going to be covering a lot, so I want you to stay with me. So first, let's look at the state of the United States right now. So diabetes is the fastest growing disease in our country. A third of us have diabetes or pre-diabetic or have metabolic syndrome. We know that cancer and heart disease are the leading causes of death, despite putting so much money into diagnostic tools, surgical techniques. About 100 years ago, heart attacks were practically unheard of. At this point, unfortunately, every 30 seconds, an American dies of heart disease every minute from a heart attack. This is costing us over $400 billion a year in medical costs. So right now, as of last year, how are we leaving this world? Well, heart disease, lung cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, lung disease, breast cancer, diabetes, again, and it continues. So what else is happening? Well, 1 in 3 has allergies. 1 in 5 is mentally ill. We have hormonal problems. People are having infertility issues. 38 million Americans suffer from digestive disorders. I'm sure you know someone in your circle or family or you that is not digesting and absorbing the food that you're eating, so it's fuel, so you feel alive. Is it energy rich? And lastly on the slide, 2/3 of us are overweight. They're saying by 2020, over 50% of Americans are going to be overweight. 70% right now are having chronic degenerative diseases. People are having so many issues. You hear people having headaches. They're having sleep issues, sinus issues. And you know what? They're not normal. Just because a lot of people might have them, they are not normal. I want to let you know that. What most people don't know is that these things are caused from their lifestyle, mainly from a deteriorating nutritional status. So sugar is one of the huge culprits. If you think about blood glucose, right? So glucose in the blood, sugar in the blood. If you drink alcohol, if you eat carbs, if you actually eat sugar, if you eat fruit, everything is going to turn into sugar. And it's just an overhaul on the pancreas trying to secrete insulin. So right now, the average American is consuming, 3 pounds a week. I mean, this is astonishing. So in 1822, we were eating just 1 can of Coke, and at this point we're consuming 765 grams of sugar every 5 days. I mean 130 pounds of sugar every year. It's too much. So the doctors are associating all these symptoms. The list goes on, but I want to tell you what I've seen in the clinic the last 20 years. This is the first time in history lifestyle diseases are killing people more than communicable ones. So never before have we been exposed to chemicals, environmental toxins. I mean, the EPA said that we have dumped over 60,000 different chemicals in the US, buried in the last 100 years. Over 3,000 carcinogenic chemicals in our food. So that means that we are eating 6 pounds of chemicals per year, on average, per American. So what does this mean? Well, liver, kidneys, adrenals, immune system. All the vital organs that are going to filter these toxins, they're tired, and we need to support them. So then we got to add in air pollution, water pollution, ozone depletion, of course, stress of our life. A lot of people have been on antibiotics, overuse. And it's funny because I teach a boot camp. I run a boot camp company, and even exercise, which is great, it's a good stressor, but it's going to increase your nutritional requirements. So drugs are, commonly being used to treat chronic diseases, but side effects, right? Prescribing errors. I mean, leading cause of death, right behind heart disease, cancer, stroke, and the fourth leading cause is hospitalization. So if chronic diseases are actually normal reactions to malnutrition, then drugs are not the answer. I mean, whole foods are. It is well known that your nutritional status is going to determine the readiness of your immune system, hormonal system to deal with any sort of stress on your body. So those who eat a diet that are based on a Mediterranean diet, regardless of the disease, everyone's health is continuing to deteriorate. But why? Well, let's talk about vitamins, because there are two main groups of minerals that we need to distinguish. But before that, first is a lot of people are buying vitamins that are synthetic. So this means a chemical made in a laboratory. It will never, ever replace the benefits of nutritionally dense foods. So the soil is nutrient deficient. The WHO, the World Health Organization, I think worked with the NIH, the National Institute of Health, and they did a study in the United States from 1960 to 2010 on how the minerals are in the soil from the farms that we've been using year after year, decades, hundreds and hundreds of years. I'll give you an example of broccoli. So in 1960, if you ate 1 pound of broccoli, and in 2010 you ate 30 pounds of broccoli, that would give you the same amount of nutrients. Okay, so nutrients, what are they? Well, they can be classified as water, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, bioactive substances such as antioxidants. And the two main groups of mineral nutrients can be distinguished as macronutrients and micronutrients. So we'll go over that a little bit later, but just so you know, macronutrients are nitrogen, potassium, calcium, sulfur, there's magnesium, and one more, phosphorus. And then micronutrients are just trace elements. Okay, so why are we overwhelmed with the vitamin choices today? Well, we often decide, okay, buffered, do we want colloidal, chelated, capsules, tablets, sprays, liquids, or even in protein powders? But however, regardless of how they're presented to the body, the truth is there's only really 3 types of commercially available vitamins. So first one is synthetics. They're not derived from food. So 6 large pharmaceutical manufacturers supply all the ingredients to the various companies that combine them into their own formulas, and then they're going to put their own label on it. The original source, petroleum, coal tar, GMO corn syrup. I'm serious about this. So commonly what is called vitamin B is derived from petroleum or coal tar, and vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, is made from GMO corn syrup with the help of sulfuric acid. So these synthetics contain a molecular formula that the FDA has said that it's the, quote unquote, the real thing, but they aren't. Plus, I'll go into this a little bit later, but they do not contain any of the cofactors required by your body to use it. Are they cheaper? Well, yeah, of course. So take a look at the image. I mean, after heating up these vitamins, you'll notice the coal and the tar showing up on the right. So the second one is crystalline vitamins. These are made by treating natural foods with chemicals, with solvents and heat. And the heat is going to destroy all those cofactors and the enzymes, which means the vitamin's pretty much useless. So if no real food is mentioned in the ingredients, it's a tip-off that it's coming from a non-food source. So like the synthetics, which is the first category, crystalline vitamins, they may have additives, allergens, sugar, artificial flavoring, colors, and other potentially hazardous chemicals that are going to imbalance your body chemistry. So the label of both the synthetic and the crystalline vitamins is required to list the chemical name of the nutrient only, not from the source from which it is derived. So that's important. And the last one, the third category, is whole food vitamins, and I'm sure you understand where I'm headed. So this means that only water and fiber are removed. They are processed below 112 degrees, so the enzymes are still alive. So anything above 118 is going to destroy them. They are protein in nature, and they contain all the nutrients required by the body in a form that the body can utilize. They are alive. I love it. So I just want to do a side note, because marketing, these people have figured out that if they write the words natural, organic, pure, honestly, they are just marketing. Organic, it has to make sure that you have that USDA, it's kind of green, I believe, label on it, because the product has to be only 10% natural, right? Therefore, 90% synthetic, and they are considered natural. Okay, so that's a scam. So only 30% of nutrition companies manufacture their own products. Okay, this is really important. A lot of these supplements are being actually manufactured by drug pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so Roche Pharmaceuticals makes over 80% of the ascorbic acid in the retail market. So even some of the food-based vitamins that are on the shelves, even at some of the health food stores, are basically just a little bit more than yeast infused with synthetic vitamins. I know, it's super sad. So many people have cabinets full of vitamins, herbs, supplements, but they don't feel as well, I think that you should. Are you one of them? I mean, the reason is they're probably synthetic, they're probably crystalline. They either don't work or they stopped working. Well, why is this? Well, to answer the question of why a vitamin works or not, we have to look at how easily the body utilizes it. The term is bioavailability. So the manufacturers of these synthetic vitamins, they spend a lot of money to convince us that megadose is the same as high potency. But I want you to know that bioavailability should be the true measure of potency. So these synthetic vitamins, they're selling. Why? Well, they're profitable. I mean, manufacturers are happy. They're cheaper. The public has been convinced that the more milligrams, the better. So we're happy. And then they almost have an indefinite shelf life. So the retailer's happy. So many over-the-counter online vitamins, even practitioner-sold vitamins, unfortunately, contain high doses of synthetic vitamins, which are derived, again, from coal tar, petroleum, and GMO corn syrup. So I gave you 3 examples here of really popular ones. So Wyeth has Centrum. And then One A Day in Flintstones, that's owned by Bayer. You know Bayer, which is like the aspirin company. And then Nature's Resource, that sounds like a great line, right? Well, it's from Otsuka Pharmaceuticals. So, and again, the last one there is GlaxoSmithKline, Johnson & Johnson, Alcon, Bausch & Lomb. I mean, all of these people, these pharmaceutical companies have a large presence in the synthetic vitamin market. It's kind of the same way that soda companies, they're now getting into water and juice. They're wanting to continue to keep their profits up. So my last slide on synthetics, not to just drone it in too much, but synthetic vitamins are mainly made by the same 5 pharmaceutical companies, okay? Reminder, they are made from coal, tar, petroleum, and GMO. They do lack the cofactors, which you need to be able to absorb and digest. And that's probably pretty much it for that slide. Okay, so everybody needs a vitamin. I mean, experts agree. You ask your local chiropractor, your local acupuncturist, even your personal trainer. Our diets fall short in meeting even the bare minimum requirements for many nutrients that are recommended dietary allowances. So in the U.S., right, 9 out of 10 of us do not meet the RDAs, especially for vitamin D, vitamin E. I mean, half of us don't meet the RDAs for vitamin A, calcium, magnesium from our foods. So they did a study of 21,000, I think 500 people, and it showed that not a single person met those RDAs of all the vitamins and minerals from food alone. I mean, that's huge. Not one person, and that's about 22,000 people in the survey. Okay, I eat a healthy diet, so I don't need supplements. Okay, a lot of people say that. Well, I love the way you think, because I believe in the natural goodness of healthy foods. Of course, local, in season, organic. I mean, I'm an acupuncturist. And I do want to continue to keep eating healthy foods. But guess what? Today's health foods are still very different from the historic diets our genes are programmed for. So for thousands of years, agricultural breeding has always had the goal of improving yield and taste. And since many micronutrients don't taste good, they have been inadvertently bred out of our food. These ugly wild apples you see here on the left, has about 100 times more phytonutrients and much more vitamin C than the apples you can buy in the grocery store today. And this is just one example of what happened to our entire food supply. So, you can see why healthy diets even today fail to meet RDAs, and even less our optimum micronutrient requirements. Now, again, remember, RDA that I mentioned here is recommended dietary allowances. Okay, so when we don't get optimum amounts of vitamin and minerals, we may deal with lack of energy or fatigue, irritability, dull-looking hair, dry skin, weak bones, occasional achiness and joint discomfort, and then, of course, a less than stellar immune system. So in other words, we're not feeling good, and many of us don't even know what it's like to feel great. We don't even know how it's possible. So this is why experts agree that you should try to eat a healthy diet, high in leafy greens, vegetables, and fruits, and take a multivitamin mineral supplement. So the next question is, which supplement should you take? I mean, this is a very important question because multivitamins are not something you take occasionally as needed. They need to be taken every day, and they need to be taken safe and effective if you're going to be taking it for a lifetime. So what do we want in a good multivitamin? Well, we know that today for micronutrients, the RDAs are not sufficient and that the optimum intakes are often higher. So, but how much higher? I mean, and can we get too much? I mean, these questions have been keeping scientists busy for the last 50 years, and recent research makes it clear that it's time to rethink again. So, multivitamins have been around for, I think, 60 years. And the products, they evolve in stages. So the first multivitamins that hit the retail shelves, I think in the 50s or 60s, they still remain a staple in today's retail markets. Let's call them version 1.0. I love it. So, but these inexpensive products deliver the RDAs of most vitamins and lesser amounts of most minerals. So their ingredients are poorly absorbed, they're not really utilized by the body, and also, I mentioned before, they contain artificial ingredients. So then research in the 80s and 90s suggested that above RDA amounts of certain nutrients have additional health benefits, and these studies paved the way to the current generation of comprehensive high-dose multivitamins. These products deliver nutrient dosages that are many times higher than what even the best diets could possibly deliver. They are popular in the specialty and direct sales markets. So competition in this multivitamin 2.0 market is fierce, and many companies are playing a horsepower game where more must be better. But I'm telling you, more is not better. So we know that because of nature. I mean, Chinese medicine, I'm a Taoist. We study nature. So there is always a bell-shaped relationship. So where initially at a low nutrient intake, more is better. Then you reach a plateau of your optimum intake. And then if you keep taking more, you see negative side effects and you actually could see some toxicity. So there's no exception to this rule. I mean, even water can kill you if you drink too much. I had one of my teachers in acupuncture school told us about this woman that was in a parade in China where she was on a parade for so long and she drank too much water and died. I mean, you don't really hear that. And that's what recent research has showed for the vitamins, okay? So these studies were very large. I mean, they showed that amounts previously assumed safe turned out to cause some side effects when people take them for a very long time. So note that these problems only happened at intakes many times above what one could get from a healthy diet, like for decades. So interestingly, to this date, the supplement industry is taking a defensive position. They are belittling or dismissing these studies, but I'm not. I mean, people that I know, my colleagues, are not. The good news is that there's a company named doTERRA that never believed in that more is better game. So where on the graph should we be? Well, we should be here. So right at the top. I mean, that's easier said than done. So since we're studying lifelong safety and efficacy, scientists could spend hundreds of years in clinical studies and still not be sure. So is there a better way to find this optimal micronutrient intake? Well, yeah. What's wrong about using nature as our guide? I mean, after all, nature has been I don't think never been proven wrong, honestly. So instead of experimenting with unnatural dosages for 100 years, we believe it's much smarter to look at those micronutrient intakes that would come from diets that nature has actually intended for us humans. So, what are the micronutrient intakes that nature intended for us humans? Well, these should be the levels that one can get from perfectly natural diets. So, what's a perfectly natural diet? Well, the foods you see here look very natural and healthy. But remember, agriculture has changed what we eat and has bred out many micronutrients from our healthy foods. So, today's healthy foods aren't really what they used to be. Remember. So, we need to look at our pre agricultural diets. So, our 20,000 genes have not changed much at all since we first roamed this planet. But our diets have. I mean, thinking about it. Recently in human history, agriculture and industrialization have changed what we eat dramatically. Our micronutrient intakes used to be much higher during our long pre-agricultural history. What we ate back then and the micronutrients we used to get from these ancient diets, that's what nature has genetically programmed us for. Only recently, agriculture and most recently industrialization have greatly reduced our micronutrient intakes. So when we want to use nature as a guide, then we have to use the nutrient intakes during our long pre-agricultural period. There are the intakes that our bodies still demand today. These are the intakes. So since our genes really haven't changed, I mean, it makes sense, very simple. So there are many good studies estimating our ancient nutrient intakes. I mean, this has been happening for a long time. So these allowed us to establish the natural intake range that we are genetically programmed for. And with that, doTERRA created a radically new process to formulate micronutrient supplements. So this process ensures lifelong safety and optimum health benefits. The process is actually quite simple and intuitive if you think about it. And it's fortunate enough for us that the rest of the industry hasn't discovered it so far. So that's why this process is now patent pending and proprietary to this company, doTERRA. Love it. So we applied this new process, or they did, and created version 3.0. So this version of multivitamins where everything is in natural balance. This 3.0 version agrees with all the recent micronutrient research, positive and negative. So we've created a new way of formulating multivitamins that really work and are unquestionably safe for a lifetime. I mean, for my industry, this is a real game changer. So we are now on the top of the bell-shaped curve for every micronutrient. That's where you'll get optimum benefits and unquestionable safety. I mean, nothing more and nothing less. So look at that. Love it. Okay, so this chart here, I mean, it lists all the vitamins, and I know it's small. It's from the webinar, but it's going to list the vitamins, minerals, the phytonutrients. There's omega-3s on there. So these are the things that you need every day. Now, that little white zone, this is where you need to be to get the optimum naturally balanced levels of everything. That's where you achieve optimum micronutrient nutrition that's in line with your natural physiology and your genes. So if you go above that white zone and get into levels that you would never be able to get from natural diets, these high levels are not physiological for the human body. So not surprisingly, all of the recent negative studies used amounts above the white zone. No exception. And when you get levels below the white zone, you get less than optimum health benefits. And if you get real low, well, you're going to run the risk of serious deficiency diseases. Okay, so the RDA. So here you can see is how the RDA compares to our optimum intake. So most RDAs are not optimal. In fact, for some nutrients like omega-3s, the polyphenols, there is no RDAs at all. And for many nutrients, the RDAs are like 2 to 5 times below the white optimum zone. So again, why is this? Well, because the RDAs were designed to just prevent the deficiency diseases, but not to provide optimum nutrition. So that's really important to understand. And remember what I said at the beginning. I mean, almost nobody even meets these RDAs from today's diets. So what exactly do we get from our diets? Well, let's take a look. So the yellow bar, This is going to show how much we're getting from a typical US diet. This is a 2010 study. So we're not actually doing well at all in the US. We are very low in most our micronutrients, and we are not in balance because we see big differences between individual nutrients. That's why experts recommend that everybody should be on a supplement and supplement with a multivitamin. Okay, so let's see what happens when we supplement with one of these basic mass market multivitamins. So the blue bars represent the additional nutrient amounts you're getting from the multivitamin. Well, okay, that's better, but for some nutrients that are now in the white zone of optimal levels, but how about half the nutrients are either too low or too high? So this is far from optimum, and we've also actually created more imbalance. The other problem not shown in this graph is that cheap multivitamins also use cheap ingredients. They're actually not often absorbed well to the body. So just looking at the amounts doesn't really tell the whole story. By the end of the day, taking a common multivitamin is of little benefit, and they certainly don't help you achieve a naturally balanced micronutrient intake. So let's see what happens when you fall victim to the horsepower game and buy an expensive, high-potency mega vitamin. Yeah, look at that. So you can see the supplemental amounts here in red, and most of them are so high that they are clearly unnatural and potentially unhealthy in my mind. So this is a far cry from being in natural balance. Nature, this does not look like the Tao. Unfortunately, many people waste a lot of money on these supplements that are advertised as premium products. I can show you hundreds more of these examples, but they'll all look pretty similar. So let me show what doTERRA did. So using the new patent-pending formulation process, they completely updated their Microplex, which is a multivitamin. They've also updated their omega, so they have actually a vegan and a regular omega. They only use the most potent, natural, bioavailable forms, which is important. So I'll go over these a little bit. So when you supplement with this particular daily nutrient pack, you are moving all the micronutrients well within the optimum zone. And you're actually going to restore natural balance. So nothing is too high, nothing's too low, just the natural optimum of everything. So for the very first time that I've seen, you have a product that's giving you the naturally balanced amounts of each vitamin, mineral, trace element, phytonutrient, and omega-3. No more, no less. So you're getting all the right types and right amounts of micronutrients that your body is genetically programmed for. So here's another way of putting it. People have spent a lot of time getting the right balance of micronutrients. Okay? There's a lot of talk about the right amounts of proteins, carbs, and fats, but nobody so far has realized that the same principle also applies to micronutrients. I mean, don't you think it's about time to get these micronutrients in balance? I mean, I do. So I want to emphasize that this is an online webinar. This is going to be very different if you were a patient of mine in Santa Cruz in my clinic. But I will never claim, even here, that supplements will prevent, treat, or cure disease. I mean, your lifestyle choices can help prevent disease. So your body will cure the disease. So I want to make sure that you really understand that. All right, I love this slide. So what are the elements that help support your body's inherent ability to heal and rejuvenate? So these choices are all within our control. Look at the lifestyle. So what is the foundation? Eating right. I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Hippocrates is one of the earliest philosophers and father of medicine in the Western world said, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." So in all ancient cultures, there has been this understanding that food can provide the nutrients to help prevent diseases and provide the necessary elements for helping to keep your body healthy. Well, how can we use food medicinally and therapeutically? What role does nutrition play in affecting our foundation? So from a lifestyle standpoint, these are things that you do every day. You eat right, you find physical movement you love, which is exercise, having deep sleep, being able to calm down, mindfulness, managing your stress, reducing toxic loads in every area, and then informed self-care and proactive medical care. This is the grid to live a wellness lifestyle. So what role does nutrition play? There are two key parts to nutrition: macronutrients. These are the nutrients that give us energy. Our body takes predominantly carbs and fats, runs them through a process where they are turned into unstable energy called ATP. Proteins are used basically for body structures, cell structures, hormones, and enzyme production, and so on. We need our macronutrients for optimal life function. Okay, so then we have the micronutrients. These play key roles in our body's ability to metabolize the macronutrients for energy. So we have to have both. So without the micronutrients, we aren't able to properly utilize the macronutrients. So ideally, we are getting these micronutrients from our daily nutrition. These antioxidants and phytonutrients are found in whole foods, fruits, and vegetables. So the question that always comes up to me in my practice is, can't I just get all the nutrients from what I eat? I mean, really? Well, yeah, if we only ate food from, let's say, vine-ripened and tree-ripened, if we weren't exposed to synthetic substances, if people weren't stressed, if there wasn't pollution, maybe we could get everything from food. But unless you live in a place like Costa Rica and have no stress in your life, I mean, the reality is that most people are going to need to get some sort of nutritional supplement program in order to have truly optimal health and wellness. So before we get to the understanding of what supplements can do, I want you to understand how the body manages itself and the factors that contribute to aging. Because as you get older, I want you to understand that you can feel vital, that getting up in the morning and having achy joints is not just a fact of, oh, I'm aging. So the human body is composed of 37 trillion cells. These cells have the ability to proliferate. It's called mitosis. That's how a cell regenerates itself. Cells have specialized functions. So the DNA determines what kind of cell they're going to be. So they differentiate into liver, heart, brain cells, etc. So cells go through a process called apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. And I always have, just so you know, a little bit hard time saying some of these scientific names. So cells have a life cycle and they eventually die, just like every living thing on the planet. But cells can also mutate. So when they don't receive the proper signaling that their time has come to die, cells can also be damaged and they can die prematurely. Okay, so all of these cell abnormalities become a major factor in aging. So what exactly causes cell damage? This is what we want to look at. So here you see a very simple example of a cell. We probably saw this in high school. It has a membrane that, when it is functioning optimally, it serves to allow nutrients in and waste out, and it also protects it from damage. So the membrane itself needs to be strong and healthy in order for these processes to take place efficiently. So inside the cell, you have the mitochondria, which converts our food into energy that you need to do absolutely everything, from blinking to your heart beating to picking up a glass to drink water. It is the engine of our body. So it's really important that our mitochondria be protected so it can remain effective. So then there's the DNA. DNA tells the cell what kind of cell it's going to be. So it's going to be a liver cell, or it's going to be a heart cell, or it's going to be a brain cell. DNA, as you know, can have a role in disease state. Some people say certain diseases are quote unquote genetic. You may have a predisposition to genetic factors. So for instance, diabetes, heart disease, but this is the distinction that I want to impart to you right now. Whether or not it manifests, these predispositions, these genetic factors, depends on environmental factors, including proper nutrition and lifestyle. You can prevent that gene from being turned on. How genes are expressed is something called genomic expression, and it's a very hot topic in the research world right now. So I'm in Santa Cruz. There's a gentleman in the Santa Cruz Mountains named Bruce Lipton. He wrote a book years ago called Biology is My Belief. It's one of my favorites, and it's talking about just this. Okay, so what happens if that cell membrane, mitochondria, or DNA is damaged? I mean, how can that happen? Well, there are two factors that contribute to aging: oxidation and inflammation. I know you guys have heard about inflammation, but I also want to talk about oxidation. So think of oxidation like rusting. So once a banana is sliced open, you know how there's like that browning? That's oxidation. That happens to our body all day long on the inside and the outside. So why is oxidation so bad? Well, because it leads to inflammation, which creates more oxidation, and then it becomes this vicious cycle. So too much oxidation and inflammation can cause damage to the cells, which lead to injury, illness, and aging. But there is a way to limit oxidation and inflammation through proper nutrition, which is something that has always excited me. So I'll get into that in a little bit. So first, it's important to understand how oxidation happens. Here, you'll see the cell again. So there's a free radical around causing damage to the cell. So I don't know if you have heard about free radicals before, but a free radical is an unstable molecule with an extra electron that strips other molecules of their electron. So where do these free radicals come from? Well, there's two types. First, there's extrinsic. You get outside, sunlight, radiation, pesticides, pollution, toxins, smoking, and then there's intrinsic. This is from stress, sickness, inflammation, eating processed foods, drinking drinking certain beverages, stress. I mean, actually, even exercise can lead to creating free radicals. So how do you bring down the oxidation that occurs in the environment? Well, we want to start to introduce antioxidants, which I'm sure you've heard about. Antioxidants work because they have one or more electron that they can donate to the free radicals, which reduces oxidative stress. So there's two types of antioxidants, okay? Again, I think I mentioned, I didn't mention it. Exogenous comes from food. So darker color fruits and vegetables are an awesome source. So the deeper the color usually indicates a higher concentration of antioxidants. So grapes, blueberries, dark greens, organic nuts, actually everything organic. We'll talk about toxic load in another class. Then there's endogenous antioxidants produced by our body. So the endogenous antioxidant glutathione is produced by the body on its own. So glutathione plays a critical role in the body's processes. However, as we age, our body produces less and less of it. It's interesting to note that glutathione does not work very well in supplement form. I really like, if you do feel like you need to get it externally, then naturopaths, I believe, are the ones that you can get an injection in. So aside from that, so it's important to find ways to enhance or increase the glutathione naturally. One way to do that is use certified pure therapeutic grade citrus oils every single day. So I don't know if you understand citrus oils. It's an essential oil. It's going to increase your body's production of glutathione. So wild orange, lemon, grapefruit, bergamot, these citrus essential oils, and you want to get them pure, very high grade, will increase the production of glutathione. So I think if you're not already on my email list and this is the first time we're meeting, you should definitely take my free essential oil class. Okay, this brings me to my absolute favorite supplements and essential oils that I recommend to help bring down oxidation. I have been studying natural health for the last 20 years. I've helped distribute thousands of supplements, witnessed people pay thousands of dollars for protocols to help them heal. When I was introduced to doTERRA's supplements, I was super skeptical. You have to understand, with my license, I am allowed to order very high quality supplements, all backed by science, clinical trials, and that are not sold in stores like Whole Foods and health food stores, and of course, places like Costco and CVS. So there are so many companies selling supplements, and I was thinking, why is an essential oil company starting a supplement line? So when I first started using the supplements myself, I instantly felt a boost of energy. And I found that certain things like aches and pains started to go away. I didn't have any more headaches. And so then I started to have my patients go on them. And I would literally have patients come in and say, what did you give me? I've taken supplements before and I've never felt better. And I knew I was onto something. So this is why I'm doing this webinar online, so I can reach people that I can't reach just in my practice here in Santa Cruz. So I'm excited to tell you what doTERRA put together to help people truly maintain their health and vitality while you're here. Okay, let's go through it. So this is the trilogy. On the left, we have doTERRA's Alpha CRS. This is the Cellular Vitality Complex. It's going to help our cells live longer, and it's going to help your cells produce more energy. And again, it's not artificial energy. So it's not, it doesn't have synthetic additives or sugar. It has natural energy. So the second one in the middle there, that's the EO Omega. It's unique because it has 9 certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. And I'm going to talk about specifically what's in them in a little bit. And then the third one is the Microplex VMZ. This is the whole food nutrition supplement. And it's important to understand that this is whole food derived, all natural. So for example, the vitamin C in here is not synthetic vitamin C. It's a vitamin C that's actually extracted from fruit itself. And that's going to be critical when it comes to supplementation. So it's also important to know that in every way, these supplements are formulated and been tested through clinical scientific studies to prove their effectiveness. There's documentation that I've looked at that proves that these supplements do what they say they're going to do, which of course is important to me. The superstar for antioxidation, which we talked about, is the alpha CRS blend. It's a powerful, potent antioxidant. It includes polyphenols and carotenoids. It's amazing. So it's important to know that polyphenols are extremely potent in combating oxidation. This blend, doTERRA's polyphenols, are up to 40 to 70 times more powerful than traditional vitamin supplements. In this alpha CRS blend, there's silymarin, there's resveratrol, and actually those two are probably known by most of you that are listening. So I'm focusing on two of them. So first is resveratrol, because that comes from grapes. So people say, drinking wine every day is good, but in order to actually have the impact of resveratrol that you would need daily, that you could get from the supplement, you would have to drink 16 liters of wine a day. So again, when you flash by headlines, drinking wine is good for you, let's really look at the facts. It's also important to talk about silymarin. It's what we consider a free radical scavenger. I love it. So what is that? A vitamin that is also known as a radical scavenger is pretty well known as vitamin E. So I want to make a note here. Silymarin is 10 times more powerful than vitamin E. So that's huge. And again, this is a free radical scavenger. So we also talk about the importance of glutathione. So silymarin does that as well as the citrus oils that I talked about. Okay, so there's also an enzyme, which is a very powerful antioxidant. Okay, so let me just try to break it down simply, because I want to talk about the liver cells. So we want silymarin. It also helps produce liver cells, which is our most critical organ because it's the organ that detoxifies everything. So it makes sure the bad things don't go into our system. The liver also is going to help reduce inflammation. So supporting the liver is going to be huge, and that's what this also does. Okay, and then another thing I want to mention is in reference to inflammation. So in the alpha CRS blend, there's something that's called boswellic acid. This comes from frankincense. Yum. Frankincense, so boswellic acid is extracted from the resin of frankincense. And I'm sure you've heard of frankincense. It was in the Bible. It's one of the strongest anti-inflammatories on the planet. And so we also see this blend in this formula. Frankincense is also known for combating cancer, but again, we can't claim that. Okay, so let's take a look at mitochondria. Stay with me, we're almost done. So now this is the mitochondria inside of our cells, which is responsible for producing energy. So when we eat carbs and fats, the food is broken down to its elements and goes into the cell, and that energy comes out, like I said before, as ATP. So we don't have ways to store ATP. So exhaust comes out, think of this, exhaust comes out as free radicals. So like when you put gas in our cars, the energy is converted to move the car and it releases exhaust, which you don't want to go back in the car. So when you have high levels of exhaust, we have a lot of free radicals. If there's a way to limit the amount of free radicals produced during energy production, yes. So when you have too many free radicals, which most Americans have, you're going to have fewer mitochondria per cell. You're going to have less efficient output. That means you're not using food. And you're going to have more toxic exhaust, which then is going to exacerbate the problem. Okay, so alpha CRS to the rescue. I can't stress this enough. The nutrients inside this supplement promotes mitochondria biogenesis. So now you're increasing the number of mitochondria in every single cell. It's important to know that the only other way to increase mitochondria is through weight training, or there is certain types of high-intensity exercise. So we can also do that with these polyphenols. So in alpha CRS, it also supports mitochondria efficiency, so total power output per cell. And it manages toxic mitochondria byproducts. So cleaner exhaust and more antioxidants, which is DNA and other structures. So the nutrients in this blend is quercetin, coenzyme, resveratrol, alpha-lipoic acid, and acetyl L-carnitine. These are the key nutrients for energy production and are often talked about as being key for athletes in order to help keep increasing the energy production. Well, if it's important for athletes to help keep up with their energy, it's important for everybody, anyone that's active. So another thing that I'm going to mention is something that's called Bacopa monterey extract, and this has the ability to impact the serotonin receptors on the brain. It has a significant impact improving things with like depression, anxiety. It helps with cortisol production. It also is going to help with overall brain function. So we have better memory, we have better focus through this specific nutrient. I mean, improving the function of my brain, I love it. So it's important to really stress that this is to help the natural processes in the body. So sometimes you're going to see supplements that promotion for great energy boosters, and I hope that you read the labels to see why they are energy supplements. A lot of them will have what? Sugar, caffeine, synthetic additives, which are unhealthy for the body. A lot of people are addicted to caffeine, energy drinks, sodas, which have such high levels of acidity and toxicity that lead to disease. It's no good. So some other things that can play into energy production in the body are essential fatty acids and essential vitamins and essential minerals. So we talked about how oxidation can be knocked out and how we can fight inflammation, right, with the alpha CRS. Inflammation is a big reason why people are not feeling well. So some inflammation is a natural part of the body's immune response. Inflammation is a process by which the body's white blood cells and substances they produce protect us from infection with foreign organisms such as bacteria, viruses, or when we have an injury. So it's a benefit when it's serving a purpose. So we call it acute inflammation. However, sometimes inflammation is created when there's no threat, like arthritis or when it becomes chronic. It happens with various diseases. So heart disease, brain disease, autoimmune, diabetes, depression. So if we can reduce inflammation, we can minimize the symptoms of many of these ailments and possibly reverse them, and then of course prevent them from the start. So essential fatty acids play a key role in the inflammation process, and we have two types of fatty acids. Omega-6, it's pro-inflammatory, versus omega-3, which is anti-inflammatory. So in an ideal world, we eat a ratio of 1:1. Well, the American diet, everything comes in shiny wrappers and cans. I mean, the typical American diet has a ratio of 15 omega-6 to 1 omega-3, and that's going to lead to chronic inflammation. So how do you remedy this? Well, you can eat better. Wild salmon, walnuts have high omega-3s, and then of course, plant-based omega-3s, right? You have flaxseed oil, pomegranate seed oil, evening primrose, cranberry seed oil. So these are all in doTERRA's omega-3 supplement. Most of us are not eating enough pomegranates, flax seeds, or cranberries. This is a great way to get all the supplements in one place. So I also want to mention that this supplement includes the very best of omega-3s. So fish oils, it's important to understand why they are so important. So we have two types of omega-3s. We have EPA and DHA, and a lot of us have heard about those. So in fish oils, the omega-3s are the most easily usable by the body. So when I take them in my body, I will be able to use it more efficiently than through plants. But so what's interesting is that you need both because they operate in two different pathways. So you want to make sure that the fish oil is pure. Just so you know, doTERRA's fish oil is a Norwegian-based fish oil company. It's molecularly filtered, so there's no pesticides or heavy metals. So it's important to get both types of omegas. What also is important is what's called astaxanthin, which is actually an antioxidant. It's a carotenoid. So it's kind of like what you get in carrots or sweet potatoes. So what makes astaxanthin different is that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So this blood-brain barrier is to protect the brain from any toxins. This antioxidant can go in and prevent damage to the brain. It helps to prevent memory loss, dementia, Alzheimer's. It's also known to increase muscular strength and endurance, as well as increasing your immune function. So the first question is, where does it come from? Well, it's produced by algae. So these algae are taken to the desert in the middle of the east where sun is very intense and they are laid on these flats. So when the UV light beams down on the algae produces the astaxanthin as a natural sunscreen to protect it from damage. We are able to extract this red astaxanthin and use it. And that's why when you take the omega-3 supplement, you will see that it's red in color. So also, in the omega, there is certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils, and this is what I love. You'll see them located on the screen. I mean, why would this company put essential oils into the supplement? Well, omega-3 fatty acids are very delicate, and they can be oxidized very easily. They act as a natural preservative and help the body enhance in studies that they found when fish oil are 10 times more stable and viable when they are combined with these essential oils. So that's why we do it. We don't want your oils or your fish oil to go bad. So as you'll see, I'm going to highlight these 3 oils. See that in the blue. First one is clove. So clove is noted as the highest antioxidant on the planet. It's also known as a great anti-inflammatory. Frankincense, I mentioned it before, it's not only a powerful anti-inflammatory, it also protects DNA, it also repairs damaged DNA, and it's key in preventing a myriad of diseases, and I told you it prevents cancer. Again, I can't claim that. And then the last one I just want to mention is thyme. Thyme enhances the function of DHA, so one of the components of the fish oils that plays a key role in nerve function. So it enhances and elevates the production of DHA in the body. I love that my fish oil has essential oils in it. Okay, another thing that's really unique about this is the EO Omega. It's the delivery system. So encapsulation is crucial. I didn't talk a lot about, there was one of the slides where I talked about how you can get all your supplements. Well, when you look at pills, some of them are hard, and some of them, the way they're capsulated is toxic. So many people don't realize that they're taking, they're getting everything in, but the harder the pill, you have to use more digestive power. So it ends up being, well, pretty expensive sewer water, and I hate to be dramatic, but what's the point of spending money on a vitamin or mineral if your body can't, break it down and digest it? So the Lifelong Vitality line is encapsulated with a very special system, and it's called nanosomal lipid assimilation. Okay, you're probably wondering, what is that? So let me break it down. To understand how it works, we have to know that fat and water do not mix. You can see the picture on the left. The only way to get the fat distributed throughout the water, you need an emulsification process, and then the lipid can be spread out through the water like the picture on the right. So we need that to happen in our body in order to truly take in the fat into our body. So how does our body do this? Well, through bile salts and enzymes, it's going to break down the fat, which enables the fat to pass through the water layer in our intestine and thus be absorbed. So here's an intestinal cell. The intestines is where the majority of our nutrient absorption takes place. Inside the intestinal wall is a water layer. If the fat doesn't mix with the water, it's not going to be able to get through the intestinal wall and then get absorbed. So you can see with the bile salts and the pancreatic lipase, which is an enzyme, they were able to create micelles which can pass through the water layer and into the intestines and into the blood, which then can be distributed throughout the body. So now that the nanosomal lipid assimilation system does that for the omega-3 fatty acids and essential oils, so it can bypass the water layer and it get absorbed very quickly. So research has shown that when we are able to absorb directly through the intestines than the stomach, we get 3 times better absorption. So this is a key piece in the absorption of these supplements. Another thing I want to note, doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality supplements are the only supplements on the planet that are using this technology at this time. So the only other time that you're going to find this system is in the pharmaceutical industry, which understands that it needs to use this system to improve the functions of its medications. So in addition, the essential oil omega has vitamins D and E, and those are fat-soluble vitamins. So wherever we are having our fat solubles in conjunction with dietary fats, that's going to help better with absorption. All right, so we've knocked out oxidation and inflammation with alpha CRS and the EO omega. Boom. All right. So the last thing I need to talk about is the vitamins and minerals. So doTERRA created what's called a microplex VMZ. Vitamin and minerals are used for all of our metabolic factors in our body. I mean, they literally help everything function. If we didn't have them, we would get sick. So you all know of diseases and illnesses that are a direct result from vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So let me give you some examples. So when I see in the clinic calcium deficiency, my patient has osteoporosis. Vitamin C deficiency, they have scurvy. So, and I can go on, but it's very difficult to get all the vitamins and minerals you need from the food you eat. We talked about that. So that's why doTERRA has its food-derived blend of vitamins and minerals, which is incredibly important to me. Many supplements use synthetic, cheaper versions of vitamins and minerals, which are harder for your body to digest, metabolize, and secrete. So they also have to be in absorbable form. Many supplements are not in this kind of encapsulation system that promotes absorption. Again, it's highly expensive. I'm not trying to be dramatic. Sewer water. So Microplex, however, uses a Glycoprotein Matrix. Okay, so what is this Glycoprotein Matrix? They take the nutrients and extract it from the food source. So vitamin B right from broccoli. And how do they enhance the absorption? They encapsulate it in yeast. So not all yeast is bad. This is a good yeast. They encapsulate those nutrients, and now it has a protein matrix. And then it passes through the digestive system and into the intestines, and the body is able to absorb it more efficiently, just like it would food. So there are digestive enzymes in this microplex, which are key. So our vitamins, minerals, and enzymes work together as a trilogy. We need higher levels of enzymes to break down the nutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats for proper absorption. Again, this is very unique. So with supplements, it's rare to find digestive enzymes included in vitamin and mineral supplements. The trace minerals are actually very important to me and also important for the body because you really want trace minerals in there to absorb the vitamins and minerals. So some people are concerned about the capsules that are used. There are no sodium lauryl sulfate. So the sodium lauryl sulfate is often found in certain types of capsules, and we know that's harmful, and it's something that we want to eliminate from our body. So what we've covered so far is we can combat oxidation and lower inflammation, as well as get the vitamins and minerals that we need to facilitate all the body's functions. In fact, doTERRA has kindly put these three together in what they call the Lifelong Vitality Pack. It's brilliant. So the supplements are key in making sure you get all the right nutrients in the body. Now, after looking at this chart, there's an issue of rest, exercise, stress, and toxic load. So now I know that doTERRA has essential oil mood blends that can help reduce stress, create more relaxation. There's one that's called Serenity. Lavender is super popular. I love the Elevation. It's a mood booster. There's a whole nother class that I do on essential oils. And I also do another class on reducing toxic load, and we'll save that for another time. So sometimes when food and supplements don't work well, it depends on a person's exposure to toxicity and how much is already compromised in the body. So we'll talk about that in another class. So we've talked about getting a healthy foundation with this trilogy. So I want to go over the Lifelong Vitality Program because it's truly awesome. So obviously retail is something that you don't want to do. It's $211.34. Maybe for the first time it might be something, but I like getting it wholesale. doTERRA has a thing where you spend $35 and you get a wholesale account, which is 25% off for a whole year. So these supplements make it, by saving $52.84 with this pack, you're actually getting like a free membership. So there's also the vegan line, which is the same price. So you can get fish oil or a vegan fish oil. So how does this work? Well, the Lifelong Vitality Pack is $79.50. Patients that came in, I think I gave you some examples. I probably should have put this slide earlier. This is the results of what they've been saying. I have more energy. I have less pain. I'm less anxious. I get sick often. I'm sleeping better. I mean, basically these human functions that started to wane, they got back up. Love it. Okay, so how does this work? Well, the Lifelong Vitality Pack wholesale is only $79.50, and that's a month supply. And what I've seen when patients come to me for the first time, they're spending $250, $500 a month on like 30 different supplements. And what's great is you only have to take these three. They're delivered to your door, and every month you get these three supplements for $79.50. But what I love about this program is that when you're on the monthly subscription and you can cancel at any time, you get an option to add up to three more supplements for only $20 each. And I know this slide is a little bit small, but my strategy, and we can talk about this offline, is that I love to get the Deep Blue, and depending on what else I need. But for example, Deep Blue is a great formula for active people to reduce inflammation. So retail, it goes for $79.33. At wholesale, it's $59.50. So you're going to get this for $20. So even wholesale, it would cost you $60. So I always add this on to my Lifelong Vitality Pack. It's a really great deal. And you can only add these supplements on for this cheap when you're ordering the monthly Lifelong Vitality Pack. Okay, another amazing thing, I have just two more slides, is that they have a loyalty rewards program that rewards you if you order on a monthly basis. So this is unlike any other company. I mean, if you were to buy supplements at Costco or GNC, they're not going to give you money back in the form of product credits. So the longer you stay in the loyalty rewards program, the larger the percentage is. So after 13 months, you're going to get 30% back of everything that you order in future product credits the next month. I mean, it is amazing. If you spend $100 and if you get, let's say 90 PV, that means you have $90 to spend in the store the next month. It really adds up. It's pretty incredible. The only other two things I want to note on this slide is if you end up ordering $125 worth of product value before the 15th, they send you a free product and it changes every month. And then if you do spend $100 every month, then you qualify for commissions. And I can go over that another time. I mean, think about it as a frequent flyer. So how do you get started? Well, you can go to my website below. You can also call me. I can place an order for you order for you. But this is the thing. If you order, they have a special right now. If you order before February 28th, 2017, you place your $100 order, your 100 PV order, product value, and then you sign up to get it for the next month, your Lifelong Vitality Pack. So you order the Lifelong Vitality Pack, and then you sign up for one more month, then they're going to give you an extra 100 PV to spend in the store that following month. And again, you can cancel at any time. So this is a great deal. I hope that you found value in this webinar. I feel passionate about getting the proper supplementation so you can start feeling better. And, for my Santa Cruz patients, you have to understand that I do carry a couple other supplement lines. I do customize individual targeted nutrition, but for almost all of my international and patients that are not living in Santa Cruz, this is the #1 trilogy that I recommend for everybody as foundational nutrition, and the results have been amazing. I hope you give it a shot. They do give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. Any questions, please contact me. Thank you so much, and bless you in your ways to feeling health and happiness.